I don't know. Everything like has been so good up until like the last game, which, you know what, we can talk about the Penguins game because that was a shit show of a game. But the fact that they pulled out the win after all that is incredible. I feel like, I don't know, there was a lot of times last year with the Bruins, like they did go through that one like lull, you know, they were very streaky last year, but it was like those type of games that you just kind of knew like they weren't going to pull it off in the end. I think this was the first game that we really saw like the Bruins have to like battle for that win. Like a lot of their other wins have been by like I don't know, like 3+ or more goals. Like they have the highest scoring offense, I think, like goals average in the league. Like I think I said something like 4 point something, which is insane. But then, yeah, that Pittsburgh game, like they just did not look great. I know that Jim Montgomery said that was the worst morning skate they've had all year, like for everyone, including Ullmark, who I don't think there's any need for concern about Ullmark. I think that kind of goes without saying, like goalies are goalies. You're going to have bad games.
Yeah.
Swayman already had his bad game out of the way, and now Ullmark had that one, and they still somehow pulled off the win, and he's still undefeated, which is a wild stat.
Yeah.
After giving up 5 goals.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about the goaltending because of the Bruins Rangers matchup. Like that's kind of fun.
Oh, I know. I'm excited. I was writing my like sportsbook preview for that game. And like, obviously Shesterkin probably hasn't gotten off to the start that he's been looking for, but for anyone else, it's like, oh, that's a great start he's off to, but because he did just win the Vezina, like it's still like a .921 save percentage, like something insane like that. Like I'm guessing it's going to be a low scoring game, but also I feel like we know the Bruins offense are the best of the best. So who knows if they can get by that. I also think the Rangers have such good defense led by Adam Fox, but then the Rangers are starting to like find their groove. I feel like they started off okay, but then it was kind of just like they were relying on the same 3 guys. And now you're starting to see them break out more. I don't know if the Bruins are the best game for them to break out against. Like it's the hottest team in the league, but also it's probably your best chance to when you don't have Forbert out there.
Yeah.
He really has been such a difference maker.
He's just kind of a bully, but I like it.
Yeah. Like they're number 1 on the penalty kill. And I was like, literally because of Derek Forbert. Like,
yeah,
I think if they go on the penalty kill tonight, I'm not going to have my hopes very high.
Yeah. So something before we kind of get into like people coming back and whatnot, I want to talk about the Studnicka trade. Obviously that was kind of wild. I put that in our notes because like it happened like almost immediately after we got off the show last week, but it's like, I think it's kind of nuts how they had him as a healthy scratch. And then by the end of the game, they were like, yeah, you're out of here, kid.
I think that's just such a shitty way to handle it, just because he has been a kid that's been in the organization now for a few years
and he's good,
beaten around and never got the opportunity. I said last week, I will never understand why. I mean, I do get why in his certain position, like at center, there's just hasn't been room for that. But even on the 4th line, like you continue to have Trent Frederick chance. So I don't get why Jack Studnicka never got that opportunity here. But I will say, I think it's good that he's going to Vancouver where he can get regular playing time.
Although, we've talked about that a lot too. Like they should be so much better than they are. And I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't know if I haven't really kept tabs on them since the trade, but I do remember seeing a quote that they were planning on playing Jack like as a wing, which I don't love that. Like play him at center. That's what his position is. Like you're going to give him regular playing time, give the kid a chance.
He deserves it.
And I know he didn't have great numbers in his first game. I really haven't checked in since. I'm like, well, yeah, play him at his position.
What did they trade him for?
Like, actually, it's one of the Canucks like top defensive prospects who's obviously not NHL ready, but I know Canucks fans are mad about that. Then I think a like forward prospect or something.
Okay, like I don't hate that.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Maybe a goalie prospect.
I think it was a goalie.
It was a goalie.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think it is a goalie. Yeah. Which like, I think that's why I was annoyed originally when I saw it I was like, I mean, obviously Ullmark's like not a long-term solution. You have a long-term guy in Sway. Are you just going to have like 2 kick-ass young guys? Like, I don't know. I was just kind of like I feel like I don't know. We talked about it last week. I like Studnicka, especially because of the Trent Frederick situation.
Yeah, I hope all the best for him in Vancouver. I hope the Canucks figure out how to use him correctly.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to ask you, I saw an article this morning about Marchand being back a month ahead of time.
Yes.
I don't know what to credit that to.
I do know. I saw an interview that he did last week, and he's like, whenever I have injuries, I usually do end up coming back early. I don't think any have been a month early, but I did look because then I was just kind of curious. There have been a few times now where he came back like a few weeks ahead of schedule. So maybe just him in general. And then also he is just a pesky, persistent person. I know he's been practicing now for a couple months.
A month is just a long time.
Yeah, that's wild. And he looks like great.
Yeah. So what about McAvoy? Do you know? I mean, they said November, but like that's obviously broad.
I think I saw they were like aiming towards after Thanksgiving, and they made it clear like it's not a Marchand situation where he's not coming back before like this certain time, which good. Because I don't think McAvoy has this. Love Charlie McAvoy, but Brad Marchand's just a wild human being. I don't think Charlie McAvoy should be rushing by any means. He's still young. Like, please don't risk it.
So with those two coming back, I feel the Bruins already are like the hottest team in hockey right now, in my opinion, obviously, but you're now getting healthier, and it doesn't seem like Forbort or Sway have like anything like long lasting. Do you think that because of that, this team is built to last, or are you kind of worried about like probably the average age of players on this team?
The way that this team's playing now and the roster they have now, I'm very much in just like a cup or bust mode. Because it is kind of cup or bust. Like this is probably Patrice's last year. Like David Krejci came back just for this. He's on a 1-year deal. Like I think at this point, I'm like, I can't even be worried about next year. Like it is cup or bust, and especially given how we've seen they've performed now through these first like 10, 11 games, it has to be.
Yeah. Do you think that Montgomery is like a coach of the year candidate already?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I know like people outside of like the Boston like market are probably going to be like, you're just like a homer. It's the Boston Bruins. But people forget how low expectations were for the Bruins coming into this season. Like no one really had any crazy expectations for them at all. And like, oh, your best like get of the offseason was bring back a guy you already had that's old.
Well, and obviously it was a coaching issue too, because this roster really isn't that different than it was last year.
No, and freaking Bruce Cassidy's thriving out in Vegas. So it worked out for everyone because they're like the second hottest team in hockey.